While moving abroad can be adventurous and exciting, it's definitely not all rainbows and unicorns. In this video, while still optimistic because we're American and we can't help it, we're going to talk about some of the biggest challenges that you'll experience in the first few years living in another country.
I'm Raina.
I'm Jason. We're Baguette Bound.
So YouTube videos about moving abroad tend to be skewed towards people who it's worked out for, like us. No one starts a YouTube video or YouTube channel because they hated living abroad. No, they moved back home and put the square pillows behind them. If you don't get that joke, watch this video here.
But it is important to talk about the challenges and the truly difficult experiences. Not to discourage you, but to prepare you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you run into the hard parts, you'll wonder, did I make a mistake? Or the worst thing, maybe it's just you that is having trouble adjusting. Rest assured, it is not just you.
No.
So, the very first thing you need to prepare for yourself for is
feeling stupid all the time.
And we can't overstate this one enough. It will occur often. You will struggle to do simple things that you've been doing your entire life, like opening a door, entering buildings.
Yeah. The first few weeks after we arrived in France, we nearly did not make it to our daughter Juliana's interview with the Ministry of Education because we couldn't get in the building. So, to get in the building, you press a call button on the intercom at the exterior doorway to announce yourself, and then the person inside pushes a button to unlock the exterior door. And then the tricky part, we had to unlatch, turn, push the door on the outside, and we just couldn't figure this out. It sounds so dumb.
Wait, is the door gonna open on its own? Do I have to push it open? Do I turn the knob in the center of the door? Is that thing even a knob or is it just decorative? Why isn't there anything on this door that looks familiar so I know where to push?
If it sounds ridiculous, it's because it was. Yeah. And at the time, our understanding of French was so limited, we couldn't understand what they were trying to tell us to do when they were giving us instructions through the speaker in the doorway. We just stood there like idiots trying to open it over and over while someone kept unlocking it. Finally, someone had to just come open the door for us, but it was so embarrassing. So, we just told you this long story about opening a door to just let you know this is such a simple example, and there's a million of these. We don't even have time for all of them.
Yeah, right. But this does get better. Every week, every month you're here, and it's a humbling experience. And sometimes you feel like screaming or even crying because you just feel totally incompetent.
That's true.
It helps to reach back into the archives of your memory and find kind of some of those complicated things that you've managed to do in your past. You want to remind yourself that you're not actually an idiot. You're just new at this thing here.
Yeah. I once heard someone say that common sense is like a knowledge that you share as a culture about how things work based on shared experiences. You just don't have that in a new culture. So things that for everyone else are just common sense, they just won't be for you, not at first. Another thing no one tells you is how you will feel unproductive and inefficient all the time.
There will be many times when you do one thing in the day. And this one thing is something you've done so many times before back at home, but now that you're overseas and in a new place, it's going to take all of your energy and you're going to be mentally exhausted afterwards.
I think this is especially hard to accept for Americans because we often base our value as people on how much we can get done in a day. And then all of a sudden, it feels like that is barely anything. And let me just tell you, no one thinks this is going to happen to them.
No.
But let me give you an example that you may already be familiar with to illustrate on a tiny scale. You know that feeling when your regular grocery store gets rearranged and suddenly something that felt super easy for a long time, going to get your groceries, now it's kind of disorienting all of a sudden. Where is everything? Suddenly it takes longer and more energy than it feels like it should, which is kind of irritating. That is what living in another country can feel like at first. All the time, everywhere. The grocery store of life just got rearranged, and everything is going to take longer and require more energy for a while than you think it should, which means you're just going to get less done each day.
You know, whether it's opening a bank account, mailing a certified letter, getting minor car repairs, and finding where exactly they put the peanut butter in this grocery store, because it is never with the jelly.
Yeah, right. Not here.
All of these relatively easy things that you used to know how to do, but now they just take a lot of mental energy to tackle these things the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Remember maybe when you were 19, all the things you didn't know about normal life? Well, it's just going to feel like that all over again.
You're young again.
Congratulations. Yeah. But this is completely normal, and you will make mistakes. You won't know what you're doing all the time. You really just have to give yourself some grace. So there's also living with constant uncertainty about the future. You know, at this point, so much of your life may be just up in the air at the beginning of your adventure.
Yeah.
Will your visa get renewed? Will you stay in the house that you're in right now? Should you buy a car? Should you lease a car? Is your kid's new school going to actually work out?
And I mean, the truth is, life is always uncertain. But usually, when we're in our home country, we have some sense of a few things that are constant in our lives. They aren't all changing all at once.
Yeah, it's like at your home country, you're juggling 2 balls, but now you have to keep 7 up in the air at all times.
Right. And if you're a person like me who likes to have like the next 5 years of your life planned out month by month, this feels really stressful. Even if you're enjoying your new life also, the uncertainty is just constantly hanging over your head and can feel like give you some anxiety. Yeah. What I will say is this has grown my flexibility in life, which I'm sure Jason appreciates. And each thing that you figure out for the longer term, that feeling decreases.
Yeah, you know, speaking of constant vague feelings, there's also just being uncomfortable in new social situations.
Yeah.
When you grow up in a place, you just know these things. Small things like how to be a good guest in someone's home or how to be a good host when people come over to visit you. But that's just gone. You may have really no idea if you're offending someone or if you think that you're being weirdly over the top about something else.
Yeah. I mean, an example of this is in the US, it was pretty common in our circle that we hung out with to take your shoes off when you enter someone's home. So here in France, we went to a dinner party at a good friend's house and I just slid my shoes off at the entryway without thinking. And then I go up the stairs to where their living room and dining room is. And I look around and notice everyone, even the hosts who live there, have shoes on.
Uh-oh.
I know. So I had that moment where I was like, oh, should I run back down and put my shoes back on? But that's going to be even weirder. But I did find myself thinking later on in the night, like, I wonder if everyone thinks I'm like a little bit naked with just my socks on. But c'est pas grave, as they say. It's not serious, just awkward.
And honestly, people will forgive you as a foreigner because they know and graciously don't hold you to the same standards as they would another French person, a local. But it can feel a bit strange and exhausting, constantly trying to decode exactly what you should be doing right now.
Yeah. So staying in the line of social interactions, you can also just sometimes feel helpless or frustrated with your inability to communicate. I mean, this one obviously depends on your French level coming here, but it can be really hard and like feeling like an idiot from earlier in the video. I mean, our amazing friends, Marianne and Gilles' group of French friends are the kindest people ever. They invite us to so many things, and the entire group, who are all French, no English, or little, they just try so hard to include us in the conversation. And we just can't keep up. Sometimes we understand the words, but not actually the essence of what's being said, or you miss an important detail like a pas that is the difference between knowing if someone's alive or not in the story. And, you know, then when you do go to participate in the conversation, you sound a little like a toddler who's rolled up a chair at the dinner party. So, and that's just social conversations. Like, let's not even get started with trying to set up your utilities by phone with vocabulary words you have never heard in your life and not being able to use like gestures.
Yeah, it can be a challenge on the phone.
Yeah.
And if you're watching and thinking, well, there's an obvious solution to this one, you just need to work harder or practice more. Well, yeah, I agree. But the reality is we still have to spend a lot of our day working in English. So while we live in France, our day is not immersed in French like it is for Juliana, our daughter.
Right. And so this is one of the big things why we say start learning French as soon as you know you're going to move, because sometimes people think, well, I'll pick it up when I get there. But if you're not actually working or going to school in French every day, it's not that easy. So like for us, while we're determined to keep making progress, it's just slower.
We have started something new, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So we realized that this is kind of hard, and we need to fit more French language interactions into each day. We started watching French reality TV shows at night.
Bad reality TV,
Fantastic.
Okay?
It's helping us learn and listen to faster real-life conversations in several different French accents all at the same time. Because, thankfully, it's a reality show, there's no real plot to follow. If we miss a few words here and there, it doesn't matter at all. And if you want to be doing the same thing, watching more French TV, but you have run out of French shows on Netflix, France Channel has extended our lifetime 30% off discount code through the end of the year.
Yeah. So again, we've mentioned this before. We know no one needs another streaming service.
No.
But France Channel is one of the few ways to watch real French shows and movies in the US. And the bonus of watching French shows made for French people versus Emily in Paris is that you get a lot more nuanced sense of French culture, not just like all the crazy stereotypes that we tend to have in the US. So use code BAGUETTE30 and there's a link in the description below. Next one is, we've been joking we need to make a video called How Not to Get Divorced When You Move Abroad. Because, like, while we have always had a pretty harmonious relationship, I think we have had more differences of opinion in the past 2 years than the entire time we have been together.
Yeah, for sure. And all of these stresses, discomforts, the feelings of overwhelm or stupidity, all the decisions, both big and small, it can really, really strain a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely challenging moments where one of us is like just mad or just thinks the other person is wrong. So what we've realized is when we disagree, there's usually something that the other person is worried about or concerned about that's weighing on them and is at the heart of why they have a differing opinion. So giving each other some space and, then being able to respectfully identify what that underlying worry is and figure out how to adjust or choose a plan that takes that into consideration just makes a big difference.
Yeah, and because we've weathered these new situations, new discoveries, and these kind of new dreams together, I also think we've discovered new things about each other and kind of found parts of our relationship that we wouldn't have if we'd stayed in our life back in the US.
Yeah, we probably never would have become YouTubers.
It's really critical, I think, to be clear from the beginning about what you want to accomplish by moving abroad, what kind of life experiences you want to have.
Yeah.
And having this conversation before you take off and before you make the move is really, really important.
Yeah. So, all right. In summary, the first couple of years, you're going to likely feel like an idiot, unproductive, helpless, uncomfortable, stressed, overwhelmed, and possibly face conflict with your partner. Is this all worth it?
I don't know, but you're going to be the only person who can ultimately answer that. And the only way you'll know is to maybe give it a try. Moving to a different country with a different language hasn't been like anything else I've ever done. It's stretched me as a person in so many different ways. The incredible gratitude that I've felt for just simple acts of kindness from others, the empathy I've discovered for those who are also attempting to adjust to something new, it's completely changed my perspective on the world. There's a real sense of triumph as you clear each administrative hurdle, and there's a lot of them. You start building a new life abroad, being able to use a new language well enough to share a simple joke with someone while standing in line for bread. And it's really, really important to celebrate all these small victories. It's the only way to get through all the frustrating moments where you can't figure out how to open a door. You can't piece together the meaning of a question you're being asked, even though you understood 90% of the words.
I mean, overcoming challenges as a family also, like figuring out how to use a laundromat with like washing machine settings you have never seen, or eating shellfish you can't identify together for the first time. I mean, it feels simple, but they're experiences that bond you as a family in new ways.
So while moving abroad doesn't always feel easy, there are many rewards that we never would have anticipated.
Yeah. And for more on living and adjusting to life in France, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.
A bientôt.